What's up, YouTube? So today here I have the NES Classic Edition, aka the Mini NES. I just barely got my hands on this thing and I can't wait to get it open. Later in the video I'll get into how I received this thing, but for now let's just unbox the NES Classic. The front of the box looks really nice. I do like how it looks. You have the Nintendo logo at the bottom, the official Nintendo seal. It's nice, simple, and straight to the point. Moving on to the side of the box, NES Classic Controller. Play classic NES games the way they were meant to be played on a full-sized original NES controller. Just plug it in and you're ready to go. Includes all of the original features, controller pad for quick control and movement, A and B buttons for rapid fire action, and select and start for menu selection and pausing the game. Onto the other side, NES console. It's a retro blast from the past with the return of the all-time fan favorite Nintendo Entertainment System. This mini-size NES Classic Edition system is packed with 30 pre-installed classic Nintendo Entertainment System games from the 80s, fully loaded and ready to play using the original style NES controller. Here's the back of the box, which just looks fantastic. I like how it has various artworks of the games and little previews of what's in store. And at the bottom right you have the 30 classic NES games, which I will not read off because that would probably take me a while. Unless I do it really fast. Bloom Fight, damn it! I'll put the list in the description down below if anyone's interested. Alright, time to open this thing up. I like how they didn't put a sticker at the top here so they don't ruin the box. Oh, that's nice. Now you're playing with power. This is everything that was in the box. There were a few items in there that was actually surprising that Nintendo put in there, and I'm actually surprised they fit so much things in this little box. Okay, so the first thing we have here is something that kind of looks like a poster. There's other things in here as well. Let's see what they are. Okay, so this little thing, this thing looks like a, oh yeah, it's a My Nintendo Points thing. Can't put that on camera. Alright, so here we have the NES Classic Edition warranty and user agreement information. Oh, very interesting stuff. Yeah, nothing interesting. Okay, so I'll start reading it all because we all need to know the warranty and user agreement. Nah, just kidding, let's just toss this aside. Okay, moving on to what I actually do want to see, and it's this Nintendo poster. Oh, well, it looks like it has something else on the back as well. That's cool. Alright, let's get this open. It's actually quite big. I'll have to readjust my camera here to get it all in the shot. And there it is. Now I think this poster looks really cool, and it kind of makes me want to go out and buy a Rob amiibo just so I can go with my mini NES. However, I do have to mention that the poster showcases Duck Hunt and Gyromite, two games not included in the NES Classic for obvious reasons. Because Duck Hunt requires the gun, which doesn't work on newer TVs, just the standard old TVs, and Gyromite because it requires Rob to play. The back of the poster has some startup and safety instruction. It's pretty straightforward, nothing more to say. Moving on. So here are two items that I'm actually surprised that Nintendo included within the NES Classic Edition, and that's the HDMI cord and the AC adapter. Not so much with the HDMI cord, it's just your standard Nintendo brand HDMI cord, but it's actually the AC adapter that I'm surprised that Nintendo actually included. Because for those of you that know, the new 3DS XL didn't come with an AC adapter, and that actually uses a unique port, whereas this is just a mini USB cord which anybody owns. I'm sure everybody owns at least like 10 of these cords, but it's still a welcome sight to see that they actually included these two items in the box. Next up is the NES Classic Controller, and it looks really nice. And to think this is where it all started for me. Nintendo did a great job in recreating this controller. It looks just like the original. You got the Nintendo brand there. Let's look at the back. The back looks slightly different compared to the original. Now the obvious change is this, the controller port. So I actually do have a original NES controller right here for comparison. Again, I have to say that Nintendo did an excellent job recreating this controller. I actually thought that they were going to make the controller smaller, but as you can see, the dimensions are identical as well. And actually I am glad that they didn't make it smaller because this controller is already small to begin with. I'll mention again that the back is slightly different. The mini controller is actually made in China, whereas the original was made in Japan. So the two main differences, and some of you have probably already heard, compared to the original controller, the NES mini controller has a different port which works on the Wii U, and the cord is actually a lot shorter than the original. Now for my setup, this is actually not a problem. However, I will still be getting an extension that you can get from a third-party source. And the changing of the ports isn't bad because now I can play on the virtual console on the Wii U.
なんだよ。Nintendo さん、やばろ。
Yeah. Sorry about that. I got a little carried away there. Moving on, this thing looks awesome. I have to praise Nintendo again. They did a damn good job with this thing. I'm going to bring this up close and do a little sound test. Music to my ears. With these ports, the original NES controller will not work, but the original Wii wired classic controller will work on this. Unfortunately, the mini NES does not open. It's no biggie, but it would have been really cool if they could open it up and if Nintendo included like a mini cartridge game of like Super Mario, even if it was non-functioning. On the back you have the HDMI and AC adapter ports. But yeah, I think it would have been just really cool if they did that, you know, even if it was just a piece of plastic you put inside and you know, push it down just for the shits and giggles. Overall, I'm truly impressed with this thing, and there are slight differences between this and the original.
What's this? The Mama Nintendo has come to protect her cub.
Now, of course, I was going to compare the two. That's a huge beep. There they are, side by side. Okay, so I just want to say this is an awesome product. I'm glad I actually got my hands on it. And I guess, yeah, it's story time, I guess. The NES Classic Edition actually came out on Remembrance Day in Canada. So at that time, I was at work. And I figured, hey, you know what? I'll go after work and it's Remembrance Day. But guess what? No, the stores didn't give a crap. And they actually opened up very early in the morning. So I'm at work, I get off at 8, and I'm trying to be optimistic that by the time I get there, maybe nobody actually went in and wanted one of these. Especially where I live, it's, you know, it has a lot of schools around it, but I figured, hey, you know what, those people are probably in class right now, so they won't have a chance to actually go and get one. But as the time gets nearer to 7, I'm thinking, no, I cannot take my chances. So I messaged my brother, and long story short, I bribe him with gas money. He tells me he's not doing anything at the moment, so he agrees to go and get it. So there I am, waiting for his response, and then 15 minutes after 7, he tells me, sorry bro, they had no more. The store only had 10 and I was 15th in line. I was so disappointed because although I tried to be optimistic, at the back of my mind, I knew these things would sell out. EB apparently only had 5 of them for each store. Walmart's only had like 10 apparently. And the other places that I hit up, like flea markets, they weren't even sure that they were getting a shipment in because their suppliers didn't know what the hell was going on. So I get home, I'm disappointed, I speak to my brother, he tells me how stupid it is what Nintendo did, not supplying enough, and I go on a Nintendo rant. And then, you know, I go back to my room, take off my work clothes, and then as I'm going to grab my pajama pants, I see a little box in there, and I'm like, holy crap, could this be? And there it is, the NES Classic Edition. I was so happy. I open my door, I go out, and my brother's sitting there with this stupid look on his face, as if to say, like, I got you good. And, he did. He got me good. So he tells me the story that, he went over there early in the morning to hit up the gym. And then after the gym, he went and he said he was actually going to wait a while, but he decided, you know what, I'm going to go. And it's a good thing he did, because he got in line and then he was not expecting that other people were actually going to be there for this thing. He even said to me, like, man, you made me feel like such a nerd waiting outside in the line with those people. And he tells me that as soon as the store opened, there were actually a few kids that ran in there heading towards the gaming section. And when he gets there, he says that the manager says, we only have 10. And he decides to count the people in front of him. And he said he was 8th in line. So he buys the console, and then he also asks if there were any controllers. And apparently the store didn't get any controllers. He also told me that he spotted a couple of scalpers. But hey, you know what? To each of their own. However they do their hustle, that's them, okay? Me, I'm just happy I got one. And I told my brother, I'll pay you back for it. And then what made it even better, like the best, was just that he says, yo, don't even worry about it. That is your early Christmas gift. So after that, I hooked it up and plugged in the original Wii Classic controller into the NES, and it worked perfectly. We must have played at least 25 of the games. I tried out the HD mode and the CRT mode. There's a clear difference between the two modes. Overall, like, it was crisp, and the games, it was just nostalgic. And yeah, it was just overall fun. So I'm happy with the product. This is something that it's just, so I have an original NES, and this is just something that you can just quickly pick up. I don't have to bring a bunch of games, a bunch of wires, or anything like that. I just pick up the mini NES, go over to a friend's house. I can hook it up there, and we can just play and have a good time with 30 of Nintendo's classic games. And yeah, I know people out there will say, hey, but what about emulators? Listen, back in the day, I used to play my games on emulators, and honestly, it doesn't feel the same to me. Okay, that's just my personal preference. At least this way, it's a official Nintendo product, and it just feels more genuine this way. So yeah, that's everything, guys. Thank you for listening, and I'll catch you on the next Dango Vids. Don't speak to me or my son ever again.